OK, let's talk about the race itself and Snowfall's 16-length demolition in the Cazoo Oaks. I still don't quite know what to make of it.
Well, it was said, wasn't it, that it was run at a very fast pace and that it fell apart. Snowfall. Let's talk about the winner. Well, first, before we do that, Santa Barbara is the horse who is last at the moment, having been slowly away, but will loom menacingly on the run to the 2 furlong pole. But with Snowfall, she's a filly, obviously a daughter of Deep Impact, that she won one of her 7 starts as a 2-year-old. So she wouldn't have been burdened with winter favouritism for the Oaks or anything like that. That burden fell to Santa Barbara, didn't it, after reports of what she'd been doing on the gallops at Ballydor during the spring. But when she came out and won the Musidora, Nick, I think there was a sort of wide acceptance that while she was an improved performer at 3, and obviously physically she's done very well, I think the feeling was that Ryan Moore had deserved the plaudits that day for that front-running ride, and that that Snowfall had been seen to her best effect that day. Afterwards, Frankie Dettori and Aidan O'Brien said their pre-race conversation revolved around not needing to make the running, and the trainer said to the jockey, believe that this is a good horse, ride this filly like a good horse, don't pay any attention to the notion that she was advantaged by the way that the race unfolded at York.
I don't think enough was made. I mean, yes, it was a brilliant performance in terms of margin of victory, but not enough was made, surely, of her time, which was 2 minutes 42.67, only 0.44 seconds slower than the Coronation Cup. Now, the run of the race clearly suited Snowfall extremely well. Beautiful ride from Frankie Dettori, awareness of the fact that he needed to be probably up a real golden highway, up the stand side rail, all of that. But it was a sparkling performance, both on the clock and in terms of its emphasis, and that allows for the fact that the horses in behind were of no great rating or of no great consequence before this.
Yeah, that's right. You see now that the run of Santa Barbara, who's favourite for both the 1,000 guineas and the Oaks, has petered out. She'll go back to 10 furlongs, but by this point, well, we know that the longest winning distance in the Derby is 10 lengths from Shergar, a horse that we referenced earlier in the programme, and this 16-length victory is a record in the Oaks. It was astonishing, wasn't it?
Remarkable performance from Snowfall. Frankie Dettori urged Aidan O'Brien to go to those big middle distance races against older horses now, and of course that's right, because that's where you can exploit that most fully. We saw it with Enable. You get the allowance for gender, you get the allowance for age. Now strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting one, I think, that Frankie said afterwards, which was, you know, the idea of going to the King George, to the Arc, and taking on older horses and males. When we mention Enable, you might think, well, there's a reverence attached to Enable that Frankie might not want to go near, but he did.
He did. We're going to hear from him in just a second, Dave. But were you aware that he told Lydia Hislop that you were indirectly his inspiration?
I
for his
was
21st
aware
Classic?
of that. I must have played it about 50 times in my flat on Friday night when I should have been doing some work for Mark Your Card. Sorry, viewers.
Frankie, good morning.
Morning.
You've made an old man on my right here very happy.
Yeah, it's my inspiration.
Yeah, because you were on the treadmill watching his Fred Archer documentary.
I was, yeah. I mean, I watched it before because it was on old recordings, and yeah, I was quite taken when David said that Fred Archer won 21 Classics, and it dawned to me coming into the weekend, well, I got 2 good chances, and if I can win one, then I equal the great man. And so it was.
Because I always had you down as, you know, quite impulsive, quite spontaneous, instinctive kind of guy. But as time goes on, do you spur yourself on with these little targets or big targets, these big milestones?
Well, as you get closer, you get excited, really. You know, I mean, Well, you know, they made books out of Fred Archer, his life story and what he achieved. So to be in the same breath of that great man, I know he killed himself when he was only 28. So I lived twice as much as him, but he's still, you know, I'm very proud of it. Of course, you know, 30 years of being in the sport, and yeah, is a big number.
So we've spent the last 48 hours trying to get our heads around what Snowfall and you did on Friday afternoon. Can you quite get your head around it?
Oh, look, she was breathtaking. It goes without saying they went too fast in the first bit. She travelled at ease, enjoyed the ground, and had everything beat at the free, I'll be honest with you. Very unusual for a classic. They're very hard to win those classics, but you know, I had the race won the Tottenham Corner. And but in fairness, you know, when I got on the fence, she took off. So, and I could have probably squeezed another couple of lengths out of it if I pushed her out. So it was an amazing performance.
It was an incredible performance, and you've said all the circumstances played absolutely perfectly for her, ground and trip, and you got on the rail and they went too fast. But you've ridden in thousands of races where horses might have had a perfect setup, and they still don't go away and do that.
Yeah, you know what? I went into the races on Friday, so I had a great chance. You know, I watched the Musidora. Okay, we gave it to Ryan, but the filly was pulling away at the end, and I think, you know, got the extra distance, made a huge difference. And I was very taken. I spoke to Aidan about it, and I said, you know, with all the allowances that she will get in the future, she'd be very hard to beat.
It's interesting that, because obviously it's not long since Enable was doing that, and John Gosden talked quite a lot about, you know, she looked so good in her 3-year-old season because she was getting all those allowances, and he was striking while the iron was hot, and also you've got your horse at its soundest in many respects as well.
Yeah, look, Enabled, she's done it for 4 years in a row, 3 years in a row. Snowfall, she just started, you know. But you know, when you have a filly of this caliber, you got to go for the big races. And I'm sure they're going to make a huge plan. And I mean, it goes without saying that in the Arc de Triomphe at the end of the season, with the filly's allowance, be a prime target.
Dave was saying at the beginning of the programme you could light up the darkest of corners. You've had to light up some pretty dark corners over the last year with no one around. At least a smattering of people there on Friday must have been quite nice.
Yeah, it was great. It's been 18 months without people, and as I was cantering down to hear my name being shouted, it was a good tonic. It was quite weird to have people at the races, but it's great that we can do our stuff in front of a crowd. You know, it's nothing better.
And you're obviously now getting geared up for Royal Ascot. It's been selective but brilliant so far this season. I think about the least important race you've won, I think, is the Chester Cup. How busy do you think you'll be through those 5 days? Are you intending to get rides in pretty much every race? Well,
you won't believe it. In an hour's time, I'm going to ride Campanelle for Wesley. I'm going to ride at work. So already we're gearing up to Royal Ascot. Obviously, we'll have a pretty big team for John Gosden. And, yeah, of course, I mean, the only things I left to fill in is all them handicaps, but we'll tackle that bridge when we get the entries. But look, Royal Ascot goes without saying is my favourite week, and I love it. You know, that's why we work so hard every morning to get horses to Ascot. And now that the Derby and the Oaks have gone, now is full steam ahead for the Royal Meeting.
And just reflections on yesterday's race. It didn't really happen at any stage for John Leaper. Did you know the game was up pretty quickly?
It's quite a free-running sort, so I had to spend most of the race to try to get him settled. So I advised Ed to bring him back to a mile and a quarter. He's a good horse in there, but he's not ready for this kind of test at the moment. And it was very plain and obvious that he didn't get home at all. So probably go back to a mile and a quarter. The Derby was run at a good pace, and the best word on the day. Adam gave him a fantastic ride, but the further they were going, the further away Adam was going. And great story, great for Charlie, Godolphin, for everybody. And I thought it was a well worth good Derby winner.
And it seemed the victory for Adam, and the irony won't have been lost on you particularly, was a very, very popular one amongst everyone in the weighing room.
Yeah, well, actually, he thanked me to take him off John Leap. I was quite responsible for him winning the Derby. Yeah, and look, Adam was shell-shocked yesterday. It was great to see his big smile. I thought his interview was amazing. Nearly had me in tears. It was great, and what a great story.
It certainly was. Frankie, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Bye.
Subscribe to Racing TV to be notified when more Luck on Sunday videos are appearing online. And don't forget to join me for the show every Sunday morning from 9 o'clock with the best guests.